every moment can be captured and shared, some videos carry consequences far beyond the screen. These recordings don't just capture events, they ignite public outrage and reshape lives in irreversible ways. As we explore these infamous clips, we'll uncover how a single video can lead to profound and often devastating impacts. These are the videos that ruined people's lives. Number 13. Ray Rice. On February 19, 2014, a video surfaced online implicating Baltimore Ravens athlete Ray Rice in the biggest scandal of his career. The short clip, posted by TMZ, showed Rice dragging his then-fiancée, Janae Palmer, out of an elevator at the Revel Casino in Atlantic City. As soon as the video was published, it went mega viral, gaining millions of views. However, the story was still missing a lot of context regarding what led to the altercation between the two. Apparently, the incident had taken place on February 15, 2014. Palmer and Rice were on their way back from a fun night out. Both parties were heavily drunk and soon got into a serious argument. According to the police, both Palmer and Rice had attacked each other away from the view of the camera. But that didn't stop Rice from receiving heavy backlash from the public. The couple was arrested on the same day, and on March 27, 2014, Rice was indicted on third-degree aggravated assault. However, his fiancée refused to testify during the trial. The court would later drop all the charges, only ordering Rice to undergo supervised counseling. Throughout the scandal, the Baltimore Ravens continued to stand by Rice, promising that he wouldn't be fired. His only punishment was a 2-game suspension, which further angered the fans. 6 weeks after the incident, Rice and Palmer got married. But while the situation was working out in Rice's favor at the time, he was just about to lose everything he worked for, especially his $35 million 5-year contract. By September 2014, most people had forgotten about the case, except for TMZ, who never gave up on the story. One fateful day, another video suddenly emerged on the internet, revealing what really happened inside that elevator. It showed Palmer and Rice arguing and hitting each other, Palmer spitting in her boyfriend's face, and both parties exchanging offensive language. It was at this point that Rice then violently punched her in the face. The force of the punch pushed Palmer to the ground, which was when she hit her head on the headrail and fell unconscious. Because the video had not been seen by anyone prior to its release, the outrage was massive. People began to protest online, calling for Rice's immediate removal from the team. Even the NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell was forced to apologize for the initial punishment, saying that he didn't get it right. As for Rice, he was immediately dropped by the Ravens, suspended by the NFL, and became the internet's biggest villain. Finding a team to sign him after the scandal was a losing battle, since every team understood the negative attention it would bring. Even after his indefinite suspension was lifted by the NFL, he was still left without a job. He would later file a lawsuit against the Ravens, asking for a $3 million compensation for his wrongful termination. But after a brief trial, the case was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. Out of desperation, Rice even publicly promised to donate all his NFL salary to domestic violence charities if any team would sign him. But he got 0 deals. Even though he's still married to Palmer, he was never able to make a comeback to the NFL and has remained out of the public eye since the incident. Number 12. Michael Richards. Remember when Michael Richards was caught on tape shouting racial slurs during a stand-up performance? That was in November 2006, when the Seinfeld actor was making a surprise appearance at West Hollywood's Laughter Factory. Although this was almost a decade after the Seinfeld era was over, Richards's popularity was still at an all-time high. After trying his hands at a couple of shows, he decided to return to his first love stand-up comedy. During this particular show, the audience were not aware that he would be performing, and as soon as he appeared on stage, they went wild. However, things only went downhill from there. After performing his first bit, Richards received a cold response from the audience. No one laughed, not even a chuckle. It was at this point that he decided to throw in some edgy jokes, which also didn't sit well with the audience. Suddenly, Richards heard someone on the balcony yell, "You're not funny," and he completely lost it. Out of anger, he hurled the N-word repeatedly at the person, who was apparently black. He also made some racist slavery jokes, telling the man that if such a thing had happened during the days of Jim Crow, he would have been lynched. He then ended this strange tirade by telling the man, "That's what happens when you interrupt the white man." At this point, the whole arena was as dead as a graveyard. People were picking up their bags and leaving, and although Richards tried to do damage control, it was way too late for that. For the next 3 days, the incident was only known to the people who attended the event. But everything changed when TMZ uploaded a cell phone video that had been recorded by someone in the audience. It went viral almost immediately, and as expected, people began to call for Richards' head. The same day the video was released, the actor appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman, where he tried to appease his fans by claiming that he simply lost his temper and didn't mean to put on such a disgraceful display. Unfortunately, all his appeals fell on deaf ears, and he became one of the first celebrities to officially get cancelled. Although he has appeared in several movies since then, the 2006 incident remains a blemish on his legacy as an actor. While speaking at the web series Comedian in Cars Getting Coffee in 2005, he revealed that the incident still haunted him and was one of the major reasons he decided to retire from stand-up. Number 11. Billy Bush. Just 1 month before the 2016 presidential elections, television host Billy Bush and Donald Trump got tied up in a massive scandal that totally destroyed Bush's reputation and almost cost Trump the presidency. The video that started it all was recorded in the parking lot of NBC Studios in September 2005, while Trump was preparing to appear in an episode of Days of Our Lives. As the story goes, Access Hollywood was conducting a behind-the-scenes interview about the guest appearance, which was supposed to be anchored by Bush. But while the two men prepared, they got into small talk about several topics. Unfortunately, it was their conversation about women that really put them in trouble. In the leaked audio, you can hear Trump describing how he tried to seduce a married man despite being married himself. He also stated that he might start kissing the woman he and Bush were about to meet. In his words, "I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the private part. You can do anything." As soon as the Washington Post released a report on the video, their website was so overwhelmed by visits that the server eventually crashed. It didn't take long for reactions to start pouring in from all angles. Hillary Clinton, Trump's opponent, was one of the first to respond to the tape. She tweeted, "This is horrific. We cannot allow this man to become president." Tim Kaine, Clinton's running mate, also tweeted his reaction, saying, "It makes me sick to my stomach. I'm sad to say that I'm not surprised." Considering how Trump was battling charges involving inappropriate conduct with women at the time, this appeared to be consistent with his character. The tape soon became known as October Surprise, and many of those who previously supported Trump began to turn their backs on him. In his defense, Trump dismissed the conversation as locker room talk, while also admitting that he was not proud of what he did. Although he ended up winning the elections, the tape played a major role in his October 2022 civil lawsuit, filed by author John Carroll. But while Trump suffered the most damage from the incident, Bush was not spared as well. Due to his relation to the corridors of power, he faced immense backlash from the public. Due to mounting pressure, he eventually resigned from the Today Show, where he previously served as an anchor. His social media accounts also received so many negative comments that he had to take down his Twitter account. He lost his job, his public appeal, and every form of affection he previously received from the public. Even today, almost a decade after the incident, Billy Bush is still remembered as the man who sexually objectifies women. Number 10. Jason Russell. Back in 2012, an organization named Invisible Children released a 30-minute film titled Kony 2012 on YouTube, and it went mega viral, gaining over 100 million views in a matter of days. But who were these people, and what was the fuss all about? Well, the idea was the brainchild of a man named Jason Russell. His mission? To make the Ugandan warlord, Joseph Kony, famous. The story of this film began many years earlier in 2003, when Russell embarked on a trip to Uganda. During his time there, he got to know about Kony and how he had been kidnapping children to serve in his rebel army. This broke Russell's heart, and he started thinking about a way to help the children. This was the birth of the movie Kony 2012. However, things didn't go exactly as planned. Sure, the documentary film came out great, exposing the disturbing actions of Joseph Kony and his rebel militia group, Lord's Resistance Army. The whole idea was to bring Kony to international attention and ultimately capture him before the end of 2012. To promote his message, Russell began an online campaign which involved getting thousands of people to buy a pack from his website containing t-shirts, posters, and other materials embellished with Kony 2012. His plan was to bring the movement to the streets, plastering posters of Kony 2012 everywhere on the streets, and igniting protests and demonstrations across the United States. The first step, however, was dropping the video. In March 2012, Russell uploaded Kony 2012 to his YouTube channel, hoping to get around 500,000 views in a year. But as soon as it dropped, the video went mega viral, gaining 120 million views in just 5 days. Celebrities like Rihanna and Bill Gates retweeted the video. People were talking about it all over the internet, and Invisible Children was finally gaining the attention it really wanted. However, this turned out to be a double-edged sword. While on one hand, many people believed in his cause and supported him, there were others who claimed he was trying to oversimplify a complicated situation. Added to that, the Ugandan government revealed that Kony had been subdued already. His army had been defeated, and he had only about 100 men on his side. He wasn't even in Uganda anymore, as the video claims. Instead, he was hiding out in the Central African Republic. But in America, Russell's movement was gaining huge attention. Donations were pouring in from every corner. People were tweeting and retweeting. Over 4 million people used the hashtag Kony 2012, and over $30 million was being raised to help the children in Uganda. On the flip side, though, Russell was breaking under the pressure of having to defend his campaign to millions of people who thought what he was doing was pointless. So, Less than 2 weeks after becoming the most famous man on the internet, Russell had a nervous breakdown. He pulled off his clothes and headed straight for the streets of San Diego, yelling, clapping his hands, and banging on cars. Someone saw him and decided to make a video. TMZ got to know about the incident, reached out to the guy with $30,000, and the rest is internet history. Just like the first time, the video also went mega viral. Russell's reputation was destroyed, and he eventually had to step down from Invisible Children. Today, Russell continues to do charity work, spreading his message and trying to distance himself from this disturbing past. Number 9. Adam Smith. Speaking of activism, remember in 2012, when a man named Adam Smith uploaded a video of himself verbally attacking a Chick-fil-A worker. Smith was apparently participating in a popular protest against the company after its CEO, Dan Cathy, spoke against the LGBTQ+ community. After Cathy publicly donated to an anti-LGBTQ+ group, the backlash started to pour in. Many people began filming themselves ordering a large water at Chick-fil-A while quoting Bible verses, since the CEO identified as a Christian. Apparently, the goal was to get the water for free and take away money from the company. When Smith pulled up to Chick-fil-A that particular day, he believed he was part of a noble cause. However, the staff working the drive-thru wasn't willing to fulfill the request. This resulted in a disagreement between the two, eventually ending in a verbal fight. In the video, you can hear Smith speaking rudely to the lady, who, on the other hand, managed to remain calm and civil throughout the exchange. After leaving the scene, was so pleased with himself that he uploaded the video to YouTube as soon as he got home. Shortly afterwards, he got an email from an unknown sender claiming to have identified who he was and vowing to get him fired. Smith didn't take this threat seriously. However, as soon as he showed up at work the following morning, Smith was greeted by a livid receptionist. She had a huge eye as she barked at him, "Adam, what did you do?" Newsflash, he just lost his job as the chief financial officer over a single video. As the story goes, the company had received hundreds of voicemails, death threats, and bomb threats. At first, Smith expressed regrets and even tried to make a public apology, but the company wanted him to quit. When he refused, they fired him. News of his termination was broadcast by major news outlets, and soon, his video went viral. Thousands of people dropped negative comments on the post, calling him a horrible person and asking the government to take away his children. However, apart from the cyberbullying, Smith's biggest payback was that he could no longer get a job. Despite having a rich resume, most people didn't want to hire him. And whenever he managed to land a new job, it only took 2 weeks before they would find out about his past and kick him out. Going by the last update from him, he and his family are currently living on food stamps, and his wife is currently the breadwinner of the home. Number 8. Jennifer Box. Back in 2014, a social experiment video titled "Drunk Girl in Public" appeared on YouTube. It featured a 24-year-old actress named Jennifer Box, who pretended to be seriously drunk while walking down Hollywood Boulevard. She would then approach the men on the streets, asking them for directions to the bus stop that would get her to Culver City. The goal was to discover how men would react to the sight of a drunk lady while recording them with a secret camera. Surprisingly, out of all the 5 men featured in the video, only one person didn't try to prey on her. The others were either trying to get her into a car or lure her back to their homes. Shortly after the video was uploaded, the internet took it up, and it began to spread like wildfire. Many people were outraged at the disturbing display by the men, and it sparked a movement to identify and prosecute the men. However, the only problem was that these men were actually innocent, and the entire video was staged. You see, the brain behind this entire stunt was a man identified as Stephen Zhang. As the story goes, Leach had approached these men on the streets, asking them to participate in his comedic student project just for fun, and they agreed. He told them what to do and gave them a script to follow, all while hiding his true intentions. As for the lady, she was actually a real budding actress trying to make a name for herself in Hollywood. She claimed that Leach paid her a few $100s to appear in the video, but didn't tell her how the project would be presented online. As more backlash poured in from social media, the men began to crack. Two of them immediately made a Facebook post, clearing their names, but for the actress, there was no redemption. Even Zhang didn't receive the kind of negative attention she pulled. People began to harass her online, sending her death threats and publishing slanderous remarks against her. Eventually, she had to give up on her acting dreams and escape back to her hometown for her own safety. Number 7. Benjamin Golden. When Edward Caban picked up Benjamin Golden on October 30th, 2015, he was heavily drunk. Golden was just on his way back from a crazy night out, and it was obvious from the moment he entered the Uber. Because of his experience with previous passengers, Caban had also installed a camera in his car. He would never have imagined that someday this camera would make him super famous. As they began the journey, Golden continued to struggle just to stay upright. As a matter of fact, he was so drunk that he couldn't even give the right directions. So Caban asked him to exit the car or he would call the police. This was when the situation took a dark turn. As Golden opened the door to leave, he suddenly turned back to attack the Uber driver. The car camera recorded the assault, showing as he punched Caban in the head, grabbed his hair, and attempted to bash his head through the window. Thankfully, Caban managed to pepper spray Golden before he escaped from the car. Golden was later arrested and charged with misdemeanor battery and assault charges. But after Caban posted the video to YouTube, the situation got even worse. Within just a few days, the video had gained over 2 million views, and as more people learned about the assault, Golden was forced to issue a public apology. You see, he wasn't just an ordinary passenger. In fact, Golden was a big-time executive at Taco Bell, but that was about to change. Thanks to the video, he was immediately fired from his job. Caban, on the other hand, was also fired, so he decided to slam his attacker with a lawsuit, demanding $25,000 in damages. Golden then filed his own lawsuit against Caban, demanding $5 million for the illegal recording he didn't consent to. At the end of the day, both lawsuits were thrown out of court, and Golden was sentenced to 60 days in prison. Number 6. George Holliday. Before the concept of viral videos was even a thing, a man named George Holliday recorded a video that took the whole world by storm. Unfortunately, it ended up ruining his life. March 1991, Los Angeles. George was outside his house when suddenly he saw a group of police officers brutally beating an unarmed black man identified as Rodney King. His first instinct was to record the incident on his new camcorder. But George never imagined that this moment would change his life forever. The video was shaky and blurry, but you could hear the disturbing sound as the officers pounded the man with a baton. The only problem was that George didn't really know what to do with the video. He tried talking to some of his friends and neighbors about it, but no one seemed to care. He even went to the nearest police officer, but didn't get the response he really wanted. Finally, George reached out to the local television station, KTLA, and handed the tape to them. This was the moment that changed everything. As soon as the television station broadcasted the recording, the whole nation erupted in chaos. George was not spared either. His phone was blowing up as media outlets were calling to request an interview. The following day, he went back to the station to request his tape. But they offered him $500 to keep it, and he accepted. Shortly afterwards, the cops showed up and confiscated the tape. However, it was already too late. The news had already spread across the United States, and people were calling for an investigation into the officer's actions. It was a case of civilian journalism, and it almost seemed like the people were winning for the first time. Thanks to the outrage, the officers were investigated and sent to trial. However, after a highly publicized trial, the officers were released without any punishment. This led to a wave of protests and violence, the likes of which have not been seen in decades. Businesses were vandalized, buildings were destroyed, and 60 people died. Then the public turned on George, the man who recorded the incident. People started blaming him for the riots, calling him names and sending him death threats. His family also began to distance themselves from him, and he became ostracized by the community. Although he still kept making money from the tape after it was returned by the police, his life never remained the same until he eventually died of COVID-19 in 2021. Number 5. 14-year-old Gainesville teenagers. From making videos for clout on the internet to getting death threats and losing the freedom to go outside, this is the story of two teenagers from Gainesville. It was in 2012 when the video first appeared on YouTube. Two teenagers who have never been identified stood in front of a camera, and for 14 minutes, they went on a racist rant against African Americans. They made slavery jokes, used the N-word, and repeatedly made fun of racial stereotypes. Even though YouTube in 2012 was a lot edgier than it is today, the video was way worse than any other racist video on the platform. Not surprisingly, it went viral. The more people watched it, the more the backlash poured in. People were calling these girls' homes with threats of violence. There were letters addressed to their school calling for their expulsion. It got so bad that 8 police officers had to be stationed at the school just to keep them safe. At the height of the harassment, the 2 girls had to pull out of school to be homeschooled. And even then, they were still not safe. One of the girls was forced to hide in her aunt's house while her mum went to work, and the girls could not show their faces in public at all. Even after releasing the apology video, they were never forgiven by the community, and both they and their families lost their freedom because of one single video. Number 4. Jessie Slaughter. Jessie was in elementary school when she got her first viral video back in 2010. Wearing a zebra-striped t-shirt, she cried while her father, Gene Leonhardt, screamed into the camera. Gene, looking visibly angry, was warning a cyberbully to stay away from his kid. But the way he talked in the video quickly transformed him into an internet meme. The video quickly spread to every single corner of the internet, and so did the harassment his daughter received in the following days. You see, Jessie was a big fan of emo music, who was active on MySpace and an app named Stick'em, where emo teens shared videos. But her problems began on another app known as Sticky Drama. This was where people came to talk about famous live streamers and other celebrities. As the story goes, someone made a post on Sticky Drama, claiming that Jessie had hooked up with the singer of a popular emo band, Blood on the Dance Floor. But the girl was just 11 years old, while the singer, Davi Vanity, was 25. So, the claim was basically ridiculous. In response, Jessie denied having anything to do with vanity, which led to the video we mentioned earlier. However, as soon as Jessie's video got the attention of the 4chan mob, Jessie's life took a turn for the worse. The group launched a trolling campaign against her, and thousands of people began to harass her online. The bullying would later spill into her real life when she resumed for a new school session, only to realize that nobody wanted to be her friend anymore. It got so bad that people located her address and started sending hate mail threatening to attack her and her family. Some say the campaign was sponsored by Vanity himself. Others claim that fellow students at the school were behind the attack. But whoever kickstarted it, Jessie's life took a turn she never recovered from till today. Number 3. Mike Rice Jr. Coaching the Rutgers College basketball team was a job to kill for. The pay was great, the team wasn't really respected, and all the coach had to do was get the team through the season. But Mike Rice managed to fumble this opportunity of a lifetime thanks to his anger problems. The players were scared of him, but most people didn't know why. That was until ESPN broadcasted a video showcasing his violent nature towards the team. In the tape, you could see him shoving, grabbing, and throwing balls at the players at close range. He would also hurl homophobic slurs and insults at them. In his defense, he claimed he was simply trying to boost the team's morale. After a brief investigation by the team, Rice was immediately fired from his job. However, that wasn't the biggest problem. Everyone knows it's almost impossible to get a new job after getting cancelled, and his case wasn't an exception. Most teams didn't want to work with such a problematic person, and with no serious source of income, Rice was forced to move away from his luxurious neighborhood. His reputation was ruined, and he ended up regretting it for the rest of his life. Number 2. Star Wars Kid. On November 4th, 2002, a young boy named Raza made a video of himself swinging a golf ball retriever around as a mock weapon. But after filming the video in his high school studio, he forgot the tape in the basement. It was then discovered by a schoolmate who copied it onto a computer and shared it among the students. One of them uploaded the video with a mocking title, and it immediately became a viral meme. But as millions of people began to watch the video, Raza started receiving hate comments for some reasons. People were bullying him, calling him names, and asking him to end his life. It didn't end there though. As more of his schoolmates saw the video, he also became a laughingstock at school. Eventually, he was forced to leave the campus and settled for private tutoring. Many of his friends stopped talking to him, and whoever did was also subjected to the same level of mockery. The situation made his parents so mad that in July 2003, they filed a lawsuit against 4 of his classmates, demanding 250,000 Canadian dollars. He even had to undergo psychiatric treatment for a long while, as the harassment was eating at his mental health. Eventually, the case was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount, and Raza has managed to separate himself from this online identity. Number 1. Rebecca Black. The year was 2010, and 13-year-old Rebecca just found out she could make some money by singing for a record label named Arc Music Factory. The company claimed they could launch her to stardom. But nothing could have prepared Rebecca for the horrors she was about to endure. And it all started from her very first song. On February 10th, 2011, Rebecca uploaded a music video titled Friday to YouTube. But unlike other videos on this list, this one didn't go viral immediately. As a matter of fact, it only got 1,000 views in the first month. However, everything changed on March 11th, when the YouTube algorithm decided to push the video to a bigger audience. Within a matter of days, Friday had gained millions of views. People were talking about the song all over Twitter and other social media platforms. The only problem was that all the attention was negative. This wasn't a Justin Bieber kind of fame. Instead, people were actually making fun of the song, its lyrics, the video, and Rebecca herself. She also began to get bullied online. Not only were they making fun of the song, but many dropped hurtful comments about her, with some even asking Rebecca to take her own life. When the death threats started coming in, she knew she had to quit school. Her life was changed, and not in a good way. But despite the negative attention, Friday was quite successful. It sold around 40,000 units in the first week, peaked on the Billboard Hot 100, and even debuted on the UK singles chart. As for Rebecca, she continues to release music even till today, although her skills have gotten much better over the years. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.